We've got you covered all season long. Welcome to the BCSN Nation podcast.
All right, here it is. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 35 of the BCSN Nation podcast, presented to you by, of course, Buffalo Wild Wings. Ready?
Let's go sports bar.
I am, of course, and your host, Brandon Carnes, here with Justin Feldkamp, as always, and you know it's baseball. We got Adam Furness here at the desk with us. Gentlemen, postseason baseball is rolling along, starting today, a little bit Monday, too. You had to give a pep talk to a team rolling into the playoffs. What's your coach's pep talk to the teams rolling in?
Well, pep talk, if you got to change anything heading into the postseason, that means you've been doing something wrong.
Right, a little late for that.
Regular season. So I would just say, hey, believe in what we've done thus far. Maintain that a solid, steady approach. And then just identify a few small things collectively as a team and then maybe individually. Give them something, hey, we've noticed this out of you. You're doing this great, but here's one thing you can improve on. Here's two things that you can improve on. And then play hard, compete, and go have fun.
All right, Adam, your turn. This time, you're from the player side of things, right? You've been in the locker room as the leader on a team. What are you telling your guys?
Yeah, when it comes to playoffs, obviously, the goal, you have goals throughout the year, right? Win a league title, stuff like that. Obviously, the league's very important, but I think when it comes to playoff, every kid dreams of making it to state, making it to state, far in the state tournament, stuff like that. So I think when it comes to the tournament time, little things matter so much. Yeah. I would kind of focus on your pitcher throwing strikes, your defense making those plays. There's a lot of one-run games and stuff like that in the playoffs. So I think focusing on the little things, don't try to do too much. And one of the big things that always helped me is kind of keeping your routine the same. When you're going to every game, you're taking BP the same way, you're taking infield the same way, stuff like that before the game. Just so you're not kind of all over the place, switching things up, I think is really important to stay consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. Routine was where I was going to go. Just stay within everything you've been doing to get you to this point, right? There's no wholesale change you're going to do that's going to help you when we hit May in the baseball season. Coming up on today's episode, of course, we've got our clip of the week by Renewal by Anderson. We'll get you spun up on everything else that is playoff baseball here in Northwest Ohio. We'll head to Fifth Third Field, a little tease for our game of the week. So much more coming up. And you want brand new episodes of the BCSN Nation podcast, make sure you're right here, 4 p.m. every single Wednesday, or go anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you listen to your podcast. We're going to be there. And make sure you're hitting the follow button on all of our social media platforms at BCSN Sports, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We're going to wait no longer, though, for playoff baseball. Some of it got started Monday. A lot of it's rolling out today and Friday. And we'll start with Division I. We'll start with the big schools. Division I, Northwest 1. You'll see it up on your screen. And if you're listening, just listen hard. Clay taking on Norwalk and Bowser. Norwalk, the winner of that. That game happened on Monday. Southview, Springfield, and then Perrysburg start. Ashland and St. John's coming up on the playoff side of things. Is there a matchup in this Northwest 1 side that sticks out? Or a team that you think, we're cruising?
Yeah, I think when I see this bracket, I see a lot of NLL, and not only this bracket, but the other Northwest 2 bracket. I see Northview and Anthony Wayne, and the other bracket, Clay and Perrysburg for me in this one. Perrysburg, and the intriguing part of this is we've been talking about Clay for quite a bit all season long. They were 17-1, now 17-3. Coach Jim Phillips has done a great job with them. They've been off to a 1-2 punch there with their two top pitchers, Vinny Gallagher and CJ Boudreau. I was texting with Coach Jim Phillips. Boudreau had an injury. He threw 60 pitches on Sunday. They're expanding it back to 60 feet and then 90 feet as they try to progress him back. If he progresses, he is slated to pitch against Central Catholic in a non-tournament game this coming Sunday. So hopefully for the Clay Eagles' sake that they can have their 1-2 punch throughout a potential tournament run. But Perrysburg beat Clay 12-2 not too long ago last week. So if we get a rematch there in the district championship game, that's a very, very intriguing matchup. But I see both Perrysburg and Clay in this bracket getting to the championship game.
Yeah, Clay, Norwalk, their matchup tonight, and hopefully their offense gets rolling. They've had a tough few games offensively. Let's see that Northwest 2 bracket, though, real quick. There we go. Napoleon, Bowling Green, and Central Catholic, they're going to play tonight. The winner takes on Napoleon. And then you've got Brian Van Wert, Maumee, taking on the winner of Wauseon and Rossford. And then Defiance and Fostoria here. This is Division 2, sorry.
Yep.
Division 2, Defiance seems like the team that's going to roll through this side of things, I think. when I'm looking at this bracket. They've been absolutely stellar throughout the season.
Yeah, Defiance, obviously they're having a good year right now. And come tournament time, it always feels like they're one of those teams that makes a run.
Yeah.
They've got a great community over there, great coaching staff, and a really good program. So Defiance, they're battle tested, they're tournament tested, and they know how to win this time of year. I think is something that's really important. So I do see them kind of making a bit of a run. Napoleon, they're having a good year too. So I can kind of see them. That would be a really intriguing matchup for me in the district final. So both those teams I look for in this bracket.
Yeah, all those sectional games start rolling out Friday, obviously aside from Bowling Green Central, Wasion, Rossford. And then everything else will take on 5/23 for all those district matchups. Let's move on to the next bracket here. Oh, fancy transitions and everything. You're welcome for all that. Division 3, Ottawa Hills. They'll take on the winner of Genoa Delta. And then you've got Sherwood and Swanton taking on Archibald Northwood. Lake, and then Liberty Center Evergreen. They get the winner of that. Tenora taking on 𝗦𝗍𝗶𝗵𝘁𝗹𝘆 and Paulding. Lake, the Flyers having a heck of a season, not too far from where we're recording this right now. The Flyers are flying a little bit under the radar, too.
Well, they're state ranked, and they got a makeup game against, or a continuation of a game against Eastwood later today on Wednesday at 4:45. That game tied 4-4, and for those who have been listening to the podcast, we talked about it. When it occurred, there was a collision between two outfielders on Eastwood's team. One of them done for the year with a broken arm. One of them was able to come back. So they are resuming that game, and that game could have some NBC title implications as well. But back to the actual OHSA bracket, yeah, Ottawa Hills, been there, done that. They got to the state semifinals last year, and we'll talk about them a little bit later in the podcast.
The tease.
But I see Ottawa Hills getting in the top portion of that bracket. Archbold, NWOAL champions, I see them matching up with Ottawa Hills. And nothing is guaranteed. That's the thing in baseball. There's nothing is guaranteed. You could have a pitcher who's off. You could have a pitcher on the opposing team, on an underdog who is on. You could have errors. You could have someone who just gets hot, goes 4 for 4, 2 doubles and 3 RBIs.
Exactly.
You really don't know. And that's why some seasons can go up in smoke real quickly. But as far as the bracket and some predictions, I would say Ottawa Hills, Lake, Tenora, and 𝗦𝗍𝗶𝗵𝘁𝗹𝘆 would be the teams that I think have legit chances to get to that district championship game.
All right, all those sectionals in Division 3 start rolling out Friday, and then again, district semis, districts start rolling out after that, as you see on your screen right there. We're ready for playoff baseball. The hard thing with playoff baseball, too, is your pitchers, right? You're balancing regular season games you just mentioned. You're balancing your playoffs and the pitch counts that come with OHSAA rules, right? You have to rest guys a certain number of days if they throw X number of pitches. So you really have to be careful when you're throwing your 1 and your 2 when you're looking at these matchups and your regular season, because I talked about it with softball last week. That's the big difference with baseball and softball is I'm playing a playoff game Wednesday and a regular season game Thursday, and then I got to get ready again on Saturday, Sunday, and you're mixing up both of those things.
Yeah, the big thing is, and I kind of just mentioned it, is these teams that do have good playoff experience and these coaches that do have good playoff experience, there's a lot of tough decisions that come with who to throw, who to play, stuff like that. So having teams and coaches that are kind of tested in these type of scenarios is definitely an added bonus for a lot of these area teams.
Yeah, pitching depth. If you can have pitching depth, I think
100%.
that is definite, and especially with this bracket here with the Division 1 Northwest 2 that we alluded to earlier.
Yes.
I think Anthony Wayne and Northview, so in my predictions, we would have 4 total NLL teams, 3 from the Buckeye, 1 from the Cardinal, getting to the district championship games in the 2 respective brackets. I think Northview gets it done with their pitching and Vin Bentley leading the way there. I mean, he still, to my knowledge, has a sub 1.00 ERA. And then the only team I think that could throw a kink into my prediction would be St. Francis. There's not too many juicy sectional games that we would broadcast on BCSN just because in general you get a higher seeded team versus a severely lower seeded team. But with St. Francis and Findlay, pretty tight. Both teams have been battle tested. I like both of their coaches, Bobby Edgo and Jordan Nell for Findlay in his first year has done some great things down there and battling against some tough competition. But I do see Northview and Anthony Wayne, again, teams that have been tried and tested not only this season, but in
years past
in the state tournament.
Hey, we'll talk more about St. Francis Findlay later. If you can't tell, we're stoked about playoff baseball rolling out this week. We're also stoked about our top 20 athletes of the BCSN era on the male and female side. We'll jump back to the ladies' side this week, and we're going to talk Maddie Pollard, an absolute star on the track and field team at Anthony Wayne, a 2-time state champion in discus, a 3-time state champion in the shot put. She had the 11th longest throw in the nation her senior year. at Anthony Wayne, second in the discus, fourth in the shot put, and fifth in the hammer at 2017 New Balance Outdoor Nationals. Moved on to Indiana University, where as a sophomore, she earned All-America status with an 8th place finish in the shot put. Her junior year indoor, 4th in the shot put. Her senior year indoor, first team All-American honors in the shot put, and then outdoor for her senior season, competed in the shot put at U.S. Olympic trials, and second team All-American honors at Indiana. An absolute force to be reckoned with in the shot put world and discus. Anything you can throw, we're throwing praise to Maddie Pollard.
Yeah, I think that some of the images for those who are watching it on TV or on your device, the determination in her face when she's about to release the discus or about to release the shot put, I think that's what shows you. And it's not just some activity for her. She is out there to compete. She is out there to win and put her medal around her neck. But yeah, when we reached out to her to let her know that she was a top 20 female athlete of the BCSN era, she was just genuinely appreciative. And that's some of the responses that I've got, and having the privilege to reach out to 40 total athletes, 20 male, 20 female, to let them know that, hey, you were recognized and voted upon to be a part of it. And she was just overcome with joy and very appreciative. And that story will be coming your way on the BCSN Sports Nightly at some point this week. But yeah, Maddie Pollard definitely deserving, clearly a head and shoulders above the rest when it comes to track and field athletes from Northwest Ohio.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't be more deserving when it comes to especially that topic, but in general, 5 different state championships in her time at Anthony Wayne. So shout out to her. And shout out to B-Dubs. They're going to be right back after 30 seconds from our sponsor. Stay right there. We'll be here.
Buffalo Wild Wings buy one, get one free boneless Thursdays saved me so much cash I can finally do everything I've ever wanted in life, like skydiving. You ready? No, this was a mistake, a huge mistake. I want to go back. Go, go, go! Oh. Yeah, I'll probably just use the money I saved to get more buy one, get one free boneless wings at B-Dubs. No brainer. Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's go sports bar.
At participating locations, not valid with other offers or discounts. See website or app for details.
All right, we'll put the playoff talk on hold for just a second. We're going to jump back to Monday, a huge playoff tune-up matchup, former track competition going at it. The top 2 teams in the track last season, St. John's and Clay. Adam, you were there for it, and a close pitchers duel out there in Clay.
Very close pitchers duel. The wind was blowing in a little bit, which is usually a big pitcher-heavy day. I think both guys, Fody for St. John's and Eversman for Clay, did a great job. I believe there was 1 or 2 walks combined between the 2 of them, so they both had really good command of all their pitches, kind of trusted their defense, both really good defenses behind them, and it was a really fun game to watch.
Yeah, Fody holding Clay scoreless through 4 innings, got out of a really tough jam with guys on second and third in the second inning. For Landon Eversman, when your third pitcher really can go out there and shut down an opposing offense, your defense playing well behind them, huge for him. And you talked about the wind coming in. Brock Fussell did not care about the wind coming in. A 2-run bomb that really is the only thing that separated Clay in this game.
Yeah, a terrific performance in the sense of it. Tune-up is a great word to use for this game because you want to face some good competition and be in a tight game instead of a cakewalk 15-4 game or something like that. And talking about St. John's, I know they don't have the greatest of records. Coach, name is slipping. Bobby Fisher, or Coach Fisher, he was telling me that the team is young, so they admittedly are going to go through some growing pains. And you talk about 1-run games in the playoffs, Adam. So St. John's has lost 6 games by 1 run this season. 6 games by 1 run, and their 6 victories have been won by a total margin of difference of 11 runs. So they've been playing in tight games all season long, not just like the last 2 weeks or something like that. All season long, they've been in tight games, and that's really a credit to the coaching staff and the players for St. John's. Because, guys, when you rack up the losses, sometimes it's like, dang, we can't do anything right. But they are staying in games, facing tough competition in the CHSL, facing tough competition here in the Toledo area, and finding ways to stay in games all the way through the end, whether that's coming back or just being in a tight game and holding on to a win in those victories. It could be a tough road to hoe for them in the tournament, but this is another game where you can say, hey, we went up against a state-ranked team. Yes, not against their top pitchers. I get it. But we stayed in this game against a top lineup that features not only top pitchers, but those same pitchers can also hit and go to Mid-American Conference level colleges in the next year. So, I think that St. John's has plenty of room for growth as these sophomores become juniors become seniors.
Yeah, and as you talked about, like that's the tight wire you have to walk on as a coach of a team that's younger, and losing those close games is to not get dejected. They lost like 11 games in a row at one point throughout the regular season, and to keep their heads up and be like, hey, we're there though. We're losing one or two. I did it a lot coaching wrestling where a kid might be newer to the sport and he's losing 1 or 2 3-point matches. Like, you're there. Like, continue to grow, fix 1 or 2 little things, and those things come out a little bit differently. Hopefully, they come out a little bit differently tonight when they take on Ashland in the playoffs. Clay, we know what they've done throughout the regular season, so a 2-1 win maybe looks a little scary when you're seeing the record that St. John's has. But as you get into the playoffs, you're not throwing your number one guy, and we talked about potential injuries and stuff that they've been focusing on. So to be able to get that win and continue the ship in the right direction as we head into the playoffs is huge for them. And we're always going to head in the right direction with our clip of the week brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. All right, clip of the week coming from Perrysburg, Anthony Wayne Perrysburg last week. Tommy Keck, the range, blasted out there in foul territory. Tommy Keck don't care. What a catch by Tommy Keck for the Generals.
I love it, man. Full extension plays, just full out sprint, tracking it. That is not an easy play when you got to cover. That looks, you'll see MLB games where they tell you how long they ran or how the distance in which they ran.
Baby.
I mean, look at him right there by the Perrysburg side in right field. Got all the way over there. That's a good 80-ish feet is my guess, just seeing it here for the first time. But great extension. The hat comes off. I love that. Little theatrics on TV. Fantastic matchup.
Yeah, talk me through running that ball down, Adam. You're running, you're seeing the fence to my left. I'm seeing all this other stuff in foul territory, and I'm trying to keep my eyes on the ball and see where the heck I'm running at the same time.
Yeah, Justin mentioned the catch probability there. Probably not one of the highest ones.
Probably not a high number, yeah.
But yeah, those plays are tough. Obviously, you're running full speed, trying to keep track of the ball, and you don't really know how much area you have in that foul territory. But he did a great job of kind of keeping his head up and just going for it. A lot of those plays, people kind of count you out, and he didn't give up on it, and it was a great play.
Yeah, avoided the turtle cage over there in right field.
There was plenty of stuff going against Tommy
Where else
Keck.
that could go, but yeah, great play, determination. That's a satisfying feeling. That's as a coach where you don't really practice that, where
let's
it's
just
like,
go
okay,
out and make a play
let's go
kinda
out
deal.
and dive 19 times in
right.
practice. That just it's not realistic. You're not necessarily doing that. You got to work on the fundamentals, and then you just got to say, hey, when you got a chance to go make a play. And I like the understanding that, hey, it's a foul ball. You still got the room. If it falls, hey, no big deal. Batter goes back to the batter's box. But this is an opportunity where, hey, go get an out. And you never know. I always
That
tell
catch ended the inning, too.
I always tell my 12U players and first graders as well, like, you never know. In the second inning, you could make an impactful play that maybe decides the final outcome of a game. It doesn't have to be the 6th or the 7th inning, depending on which level of baseball you're talking about. You can make a play any point in the game that is a crucial out.
Right. Ended the inning with that diving catch. They go on to take an 11-2 victory, so obviously a really good defensive day for A-Dub against Perrysburg, that one. Obviously, this is our clip of the week brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. You want more highlights all across any diamond, any lacrosse field, whatever's going on in the springtime, make sure you head to @BCSN Sports on TikTok. Help us get to 10,000 followers. We're going to go back to more former track matchups. This one heading to the playoffs, though. Findlay and St. Francis, we touched on it a little bit at the beginning of the show. That's coming up. Playoff action tonight. Number 6 seed St. Francis, the 8 seed Findlay. So you talked about two more closely ranked teams when it comes to their seeding. How do you see this thing playing out?
Yeah, both of these teams and this matchup really excites me. I think St. Francis, kind of Central Catholic, St. John's, Justin mentioned playing in the Catholic League up in Michigan. They're really battle tested.
Right.
They're facing really good arms. Their pitchers are facing really good lineups. So St. Francis, they do have some really good wins on the year. They just beat Northview, obviously 8-4 on Monday. And then Findlay, on the other hand, 5-game win streak right now. I had them against Clay at Fifth Third Field last week. They played really well. They're Coach Nell mentioned they are kind of a young team, so there are a couple things that, they kind of have some hiccups, but they're playing right now. And I mentioned on that broadcast, this could be a good turning point for them. And it seems like they've kind of maybe taken that mentality and gone with that. And this one looks really good to me.
Yeah, that's what I said. Just both these teams, Findlay 5-game winning streak. St. Francis now on a 6-game winning streak.
Yeah.
So they're both heading the right direction, and they've both beaten really good teams. You just mentioned they've beaten Northview. St. Francis has beaten Whitmer. They've beaten Ottawa Hills. Findlay, they've beaten Perrysburg. They've beaten Ottawa Hills. They've beaten Anthony Wayne. So these aren't, their records are about 500, but they've been able to beat and battle with the better teams in Northwest Ohio.
Yeah, 13-10 for St. Francis, 13-11 for Findlay. And I think I remember when we were talking about playoff matchups on the softball side, it was a Bowling Green versus Northview game.
Yep.
And we said both of these teams have the ability and should say, we need to win this. And then the loser would say, man, like this was a game that we should have had, kind of thing. I think this is that matchup on the baseball side. St. Francis and Findlay both should say, hey, we got similar records. We face similar competition. It's a juicy first-round matchup game. It's a BCSN broadcast game. This is a game that we could and should and can win. And then the loser's going to say, man, maybe this one got away, or we should have had a better performance, kind of thing, because this is a winnable game for both of these teams. And you mentioned, and you see on your screen, the winner likely to play Anthony Wayne.
Right.
And Findlay split with Anthony Wayne back on April 9th and 10th. They beat him 4-2 and then lost 6-1. So Findlay can say, like you said, that tough competition, hey, we win this one, we got a shot against one of the top teams in the state.
Yeah, the big thing, I think, and it's easy to say this in a baseball game, right? Findlay just has to get the offense rolling, right? They've scored 2 or fewer runs 9 times this season, so they haven't had a lot of games where they've really gotten rolling. And you run that 5-game win streak, bats start to get hot, pitchers start to get hot. We'll see how this thing plays out, obviously, tonight on BCSN. We talked about Ottawa Hills, right? They've lost a few games to these teams. Overall, Ottawa Hills having a heck of a season. Obviously, Coach Hardman winning his 700th game earlier in the season, but they are in sole possession, first place in the TAC. They're reclaiming that TAC title. They lost to TC last year.
Yeah, I think with Ottawa Hills, they can harken back to what they've done, a proven track record, got to the state semifinals, lost to Apple Creek Waynedale, but a lot of the talent is back, especially from Sebastian Stevens.
Seabass.
The fact that he was more of, okay, here's their number one pitcher, but he has developed into an offensive threat and really improved his bat and becoming a multiple threat guy in the sense of, hey, if for some reason his teammates aren't getting it done, you can say, hey, help yourself out on the mound by getting it done at the plate. And watching some highlights and some games of Ottawa Hills this year, Reddick and Rocco Pellarelli, known on BCSN for their football accolades in a playoff run this past fall, but those guys are blazing fast. And Adam, you can talk about this. The speed in football or track does not necessarily equate to baseball in the sense you got to kind of go from base to base to base. It's not just 100 or 200 or 400 meters go straight as an arrow. You got to be able to be baseball fast. And then when you have a baseball player who has a high IQ on the base pass, just as a coach, you're like, thank you so much. Because when they get on base, you don't have to worry. They get the right lead. Coach says, get one more. They get one more. They know quick instincts and a ball just gets away. Maybe it's 4 to 6 feet away from a catcher, but that's enough time for them to go from first to second or second to third kind of thing. They don't have to have a big backstop and it totally kicks away and goes to the dugout. And then you get on base and you just find a way, and maybe a base hit or a walk turns into a quote-unquote triple for a good base runner.
Now, we talked about Ottawa Hills throughout this podcast, having played a lot of really good Division I teams in the area, right? How does that help them as they move into these D3 playoffs and a game tomorrow they have against Clay as well?
Yeah, when you talk about Ottawa Hills and the teams they've played here, it's kind of one of those things where you're not going to really see anything you haven't seen. And obviously with them making that run that they did last year, and I touched on it earlier in the podcast, just having a coach and having a team of players that know how to win at this time of year, I think is huge for them. They have a lot of seniors. They did face a little bit of adversity with dropping some losses to St. Francis and Central Catholic recently. I would just kind of use that as like, hey, a little bit of motivation going forward.
Right. Right the ship.
Trying to make sure you don't like take anybody lightly or anything like that. And I don't really expect them to do that. So.
All right, we're excited to see Ottawa Hills, see their playoff run as things get going over in the D3 area, but we're really excited to head to Fifth Third Field for our Game of the Week, brought to you by Dunn Chevy in Oregon. All right, our Game of the Week, I talked about it a little bit already. We're headed to Fifth Third Field for the Battle of I-75. Put it on the big stage, throw it downtown. We're excited, and I know for a fact Adam Furness is excited for this one.
Yeah, very excited. Both teams playing really, really well. Obviously, BG clinching outright MAC championship regular season last week. One was pretty awesome. Super excited for that program. Coach Halleck, the coaching staff, all the alumni that donated back. Kind of riding this ship and riding this program has been really awesome. I think it's kind of one of those fairy tale things that you say a program was cut 4 years ago and now they have a MAC title. So pretty cool. We mentioned they have that team ERA around 7 right now, but their offense is really leading them. They're averaging around 9.5 runs per game. It's in the top 10 nationally. So they can really rely on that offense that they've got. And obviously Toledo, 25 and 27, 16-11 the MAC. They're kind of playing for seeding right now. Yeah. They're playing really good baseball as well. They swept Eastern 2 weekends ago, took a game from Notre Dame last weekend. So it's going to be a really good matchup.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going to start with Bowling Green, right? 4 years ago, you're looking at a program that isn't going to exist, and here we are winning their first MAC title since 2009. You talked about the ERA. That was kind of my worry, right, as things get rolling deeper in the season for Bowling Green, is giving up a lot of runs, and if, heaven forbid, there's a day where your offense doesn't get rolling, the stats show that the pitching has kind of been a problem for them. And then on the other side for Toledo, you've got Garrett Pike just can't keep a ball inside the park. Garrett Pike this season set the Toledo record for season and career homers.
Yeah, I love seeing the local guys. He's an Anthony Wayne product, and he's been great all season long. AD at BG, Derek Vanderway, give that hitting coach for BG a raise because they've just been launching balls into the trees out there. But I love the fact that this game matters in the sense of, yes, I know BGSU has already clinched an outright number 1 seed, but you got the 6 teams are already set. All that's we're jockeying for position with the seeding. So BG's right now first place, then Western Michigan, then Ball State, then UT, then Kent State, and Miami. Those are the 6 teams that will be in Avon next week, but it's just a matter of what seedings there will be. If it stays the same, we could get UT, BG again in the tournament, so that would be intriguing. But I love that this event is taking place at Fifth Third Field. Cross everybody's fingers that the weather holds out. But the big event experience, and talking to Coach Rob Brenstedt for UT, he said that personally, I think this should have been done way long ago. It's been 2 decades of downtown Toledo baseball at the new Fifth Third Field. So it should have been done sooner, but I'm glad that it is here now because I've been to this multiple times. And the fact that the alumni show up, the fact that it's at a professional field and a awesome, terrific playing surface, Friday night, as long as the weather cooperates, it should be a great event. Live on BCSN's NLL network and the BCSN app.
Boom. Justin's got the pitch. I don't even have anything else to say. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let B-Dubs talk to you about why you should just get wings and then go watch the game down at Fifth Third Field.
I've saved so much money enjoying Buffalo Wild Wings BOGO half-off traditional wing Tuesdays. I can finally afford everything I've ever wanted in life. Wings. All I ever wanted was more wings. So yeah, buy one, get one half off traditional wings is the perfect deal for me and my lifetime yearnings. I value it more than literally anything. Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's go sports bar.
At participating locations, not valid with other offers or discounts. See website or app for details.
Let's go sports bar, and let's go into our upcoming games for what's going on the rest of the week here on BCSN. You see, today, the dates didn't update. It's a bummer.
It's okay. We'll go with Wednesday.
We'll go with everything else.
Ignore the numbers. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday still apply. So we got a number of teams that are ready to rock and roll in the Toledo Walleye here with the fact that, actually go ahead and swipe that down. But we got the Walleye taking on the Kansas City Mavericks. So an odd setup there. It is a 3-4 format. So the first 3 games will be here in Toledo at the Huntington Center. First 2 games on Friday and Saturday, and then heading to Kansas City for definitely game 4, and then potentially games 5, 6, and 7 if necessary. But another big one, the one that we just talked about, that at Fifth Third Field, that whole series, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So a reminder to those college baseball fans, it's not a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. Adam will be on the call on Thursday, and then should be a fun night down at the ballpark for some BGSU alumni. Get some golf in. People coming in from out of town. Should be a good time, Furnace.
You got the hookup.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited. Should be a lot of fun. I'm expecting a lot of BG alum to be there. Obviously, mentioned it earlier in the year. That game was my favorite game to ever play in, and that stadium definitely makes it special.
You can't beat the Battle of I-75 Fifth Third Field, and you can't beat coming right back here 4 p.m. next Wednesday for a brand new episode of the BCSN Nation podcast, or listen to it anywhere you get your podcasts. Make sure while you're looking for the podcast, you head over to @BCSN Sports over on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, wherever. Hit the follow button. Also hit the follow button on @JustinFeldkamp, @AdamFurnace, @Carnes Brandon, and we'll see you next week.